Time to hit social media for hashtags. For that, we'd like to welcome in Megan Brantley, the VP of Research at LikeFolio.com. And we have Evelyn Baker here with us as well in studio. And now we're going to talk more of the device component or the software component of it, and that's Roku.
Right. I always love talking about Roku because I personally have a Roku TV that has served me since I was an undergrad. So it's a few years old. I could probably upgrade sooner rather than later. But I always love talking about Roku because this stock is up about 350% year to date. I mean, it seems insane, but especially with all of these newer streaming services coming on the market like Disney Plus and Apple TV Plus, I mean, Roku's not so much competing with these names, right, Megan? I mean, they're servicing those streaming services now.
Yeah, you're exactly right. You know, when we look at Roku purchase intent, it has these two different components. You have the devices, the players, like you mentioned. You have your Roku TV, you have people who are buying these Roku sticks, but we also have people who stream these things and download subscriptions that are powered by this Roku software. So whenever we look at purchase intent, we see strength quarter over quarter as well as year over year. And we're actually seeing a bit of a pullback in the stock, even though, like you mentioned, it has had an incredible run over the past year. But from a revenue and purchase intent perspective, we really like the trajectory that Roku is taking.
Yeah, Megan, obviously that green line there is showing like straight up. And this stock is pretty much straight up. But from my perspective, I need to know who's going to be the winner. Is Roku one of the winners? Are they going to one that's going to be here forever and never go away?
I think right now it certainly looks like that. Whenever you never consider Roku too, you have to consider the amount of revenue that they're generating from advertising. That this is actually a larger portion than the actual device sales, right? So what they pull in from their platform. And one thing that's promising is Roku had an enormous spike on the same day that Disney Plus was announced. And we dive into all of these high volume dates, but just for reference, this was the largest spike that we have ever seen in Roku. And it was people who were talking about downloading Disney Plus on their Roku or going out to buy a Roku to watch Disney Plus. So I think that that's really positive for the company. That's definitely not something that we were necessarily expecting or watching for on Roku, and we did not see that in contrast for like the Amazon Fire Stick.
So what might have supported that spike, Megan? I saw that Disney Plus pretty much bought out Roku's home screen whenever they launched their services, and streaming services will pay, I think it was $1 million, or that might be low, I don't know, to Roku in order to rent out this home screen and get all that advertising. So like you mentioned, yes, that advertising revenue is so important for Roku. But last night I tweeted out a poll asking how viewers streamed their content, and I put up the options Roku TV, Google Chromecast, Amazon Fire Stick, and other, and I was told that I completely missed out on Apple TV, but I guess that's not so much my demographic. But I thought this was super interesting because the results of this small sample size of 22 votes only showed that Roku was 23%, whereas Amazon Fire was 40%, which is opposite from the national scale, where Roku comes in at the lead of 44% of the streaming happening in US TVs. But Megan, I'm really interested in this data going forward as far as, like Kevin asked, will Roku be around forever, but will people still choose Roku to watch all of these different platforms, do you think?
I think that Roku's made really strategic partnerships first in the smart TV segment. A lot of people have Roku that are powering their streaming and they don't even realize it, right? Because it's just built into their TVs, these Roku TVs. And I think also it's interesting that they partnered with people like Adobe and Dataxu, because what they're doing is they're using data and they're allowing advertisers to make really targeted ad buys. And I think a lot of people don't necessarily consider that Roku, whenever they present ads to you, it's ads that are actually really, really targeted and relevant for you, and they're finding them to be effective. So I think that Roku is positioning themselves really well long term.
See, Megan, I struggle with that, and I'm clearly, at least right now, I'm wrong because the stock's obviously performing well. It's being loved by analysts. It's being loved by investors. Your data is strong on this one. But I look at this and I say, here's a company with zero barriers to entry, no real reason to continue wanting this product once all TVs that are sold have this built in within, and it's just a software component that they need to be in the branding of the TV to be within. So if you buy the TCL TV, I think they're partnered with, it's going to have Roku. But if I go and buy Samsung, it just has Samsung streaming within it. And I think that's a lot of those others that we're seeing on Evelyn's poll. So to me, the initial box, which I know is a small component of what they're actually making revenue now, was a stopgap between the old TV and the new smart TVs. You know, to me, I just don't see unless they really do reinvent themselves and become a staple in this space, how they can continue in the long term.
I think that one thing too to consider whenever we look at advertising spend, it's hard to really grasp that, but think about 29% of TV viewing occurs on a streaming device and only 3% of ad budgets have been going there. You're talking about a $70 billion a year budget and only 3% is being spent on this over-the-top streaming that Roku supports. So I think that if Roku makes it easy for advertisers to, buy ads and place ads, just like previously, people were trying to buy these social media ads, this is just the tip of the iceberg for the ad revenue that they can collect, and it's already a major portion of their revenue is kept.
Yeah, Megan, looking at the data here, though, looking forward, obviously this isn't an earnings-related conversation we're having right now. When you see how strong Disney Plus has been and you see how strong still Roku is this one that you guys are confident in? Like you said, do you like how they're positioned going forward? Are you concerned at all about the valuation? But we're still talking about a stock that's 20% off the highs at this point now, too. Do you still see potential room to the upside in the stock?
Yeah, this is, partially why we were so excited to talk about this name today. This is one of our favorite long-term plays from just strength in the consumer and growth potential.
Yeah, I think it's well said. I think at least so far throughout this year, the street certainly agrees, and analysts continuing to come out and continue to upgrade this name and continue to hike price targets. But we'll see how it all plays out. Earnings again will be in February, the second half of that month, and we'll talk again with you guys about Roku at that point. But Megan, great stuff as always, and have a great weekend.
Yeah, thanks. Y'all too.